I always come here with right up. Not you. Yesterday you were really nice. Like you noticed.
You know, it's very funny. You follow the Daf on the internet, and you make it and you automatically answer Amen, even though.
Oh really? Only for those who are here, typically. All right. So today's Daf Ayin Zayin.
You sure have to forget me.
We're holding on the bottom of Ayin Vav and Beis, 2 lines from the bottom. Says the Gemara, Hanu Gidin Rabba or Rava. So we had the case of a broken bone that if it's chayfe roiv basar, if there's mostly covered with meat, 51%, then it is kosher. And over here we have a combination of meat and tendons. Yesterday we had a combination of meat and skin. Are tendons considered meat to cover the bone and make it kosher? What's the big deal? First of all, when it comes to carbon Pesach, we could add people to the carbon based on each person needs a kazayis. So if we ran out of kazaisim, we could say, look, we have extra kazayis worth of tendons, yummy, and we could add a person or two. So you see that's considered meat. So that's the shita of Rabbi Yochanan. Va'oid, and this is very interesting. What's the next svara? What's the next taina? HaTorah chasa mamonim sheYisrael. We had it many times where the Torah says by a mitzayra, get rid of your stuff quickly. The kohen is going to come to the house and check the house, and if everything is tameh, you won't be able to do anything. What is the Torah referring to? The very cheap kalim made out of earthenware, because everything else can be toiveled. So you see the Torah cares about your stuff, even though you're not such a great guy. Why did you get tzaras to begin with? Even so, the Torah cares about you. And therefore what? So if the halacha is not that the gid is considered baso, so the Torah cares about your money. I mean, the halacha is the halacha. Whatever the halacha is, if a gid is money, is baser, it's baser. If it's not baser, it's not baser. So we have to understand a little bit. They have different shatim. Maybe the one that's mechulik is only a machmir. He doesn't really hold it. He just says it's the rabbanon, and because it's the rabbanon, there's a reason to be makel because the Torah cares about your money. Amalei Rabba or Rava. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, v'isur d'oraisa. There's another shita, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, who holds that tendons are not part of a korban pesach, and he says it's isur d'oraisa to eat it as a korban pesach. V'adamar is my leichush lo. And you're telling me what's the big deal? Ishtik had nothing to answer. Bam kasha, and the Gemara remains in a kasha. It really is a good kasha. V'amay ishtik. Ask the Gemara, but why was he quiet? He could have answered V'amar Rava. It's amazing. All the machloikesin of Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish and all of Shas, Rish Lakish was only right 3 times. It's big stuff. The halacha is like it. I feel the same way. I fight with my chavrusa. I was only right twice so far. I mean, my career is not over. But okay, I feel for him.
The Vartis he didn't give up. He
didn't
stop him from fighting.
Right? He didn't stop. He kept on going. To the point that we had yesterday, or where was it? The day before, where they asked Reb Zeir asked Ravasi, and where's Rish Lakish? Like he said a halacha from Rabbi Yochanan. Like, what happened to Rish Lakish? Oh, he was drinking water. But at every point that you have Rabbi Yochanan, you have Rish Lakish. And if you don't, the Gemara starts wondering where's Rish Lakish at that point. He walked out. He did. So anyways, he's only right 3 times.
No question of right and wrong.
Halacha like him.
We say, for example, the halacha like Gizhila.
Correct. That's what Mendy was. He was berating. Mendy said also, it's not a pshat right or wrong. The halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan. The point is, ask the Gemara, if the halacha is like Rish Lakish only 3 times, so why does Rava care about Rav himself is the one that said that Allah is like Rish Lakish 3 times. So then what are you asking me a question for Rish Lakish? Oh, it's Issa Deraisa, but I don't pass like Rish Lakish. I pass like Rabbi Yochanan. And according to Rabbi Yochanan, these tendons should be mitzdarif to cover the bone. Says the Gemara, Shani Hacha, the Hadabe Rabbi Yochanan, Rav knew that Rabbi Yochanan never argued with Rish Lakish. At the end of the day, Rabbi Yochanan agreed to Rish Lakish. Oh, maybe that's a trick. Every time Rish Lakish was right, he said, "Oh, you know what? You're right." So he never got a psak like him because Rabbi Yochanan always took it back. Okay, I hear. The other Rabbi Yochanan got either Rish Lakish. The Amar Lei, because Rabbi Yochanan told him, "Al takniteni b'loshin yachid ani shaynoisa." Don't bring me a raya from this Mishnah because even that Mishnah that has a right to you, I only said it like a das yachid. We don't paskin like that Mishnah. Al kopanim, you see that Rabbi Yochanan took it back. And the halacha is like Rish Lakish, that a tendon is not considered basar, and therefore you cannot use the tendon to cover the bone and call it a roiv basar around the bone. Says the Gemara, we'll continue with broken bones here. How nishbar etzem v'yotzel achutz. There's a compound fracture where you were able to see the bone. The ishtikul kurtiso minei. So they took a little piece of the bone fell off. Now, I would think this is a chiddush actually, because yes, we say bones heal, but now you're missing part of the bone. How do you know that it could fill in that part? But obviously, we're talking about the type of bone that Rishonim talk about it. It's a type of a piece that's missing, small enough that it could heal. Also, the kamedah
is the fracture that is protruding from
compound protruding.
So the part that was protruding fell off. Is that what you're saying?
Not the whole part, a little piece of the bone. So even if you put it back perfectly, the jagged edges into each other, there's still a small piece missing. Is that considered a treif? Is this animal going to survive?
You need polyfiller.
Yeah, you need some sort of filler there. But Hashem does it naturally. Abaye didn't know what to do. He figured he's going to ask Talmid Chachamim as they come for Yantif. He waited a full year. He still didn't get a good answer. Zil Kamei the Rava Bereder of Yosef Bar Chama. Why don't you go to Rava? Rashi says this is Rava that you always fight with. The Charifo Sakina, he's a sharp blade, he's a sharp one. Interesting that for a whole year he didn't think about this himself. Also Kamei Omar Migdi Nishbar Etzem Yotzel Chutznan. So says Rava, you can be medayik. It says that if you have a broken bone that protrudes outside, Mali Nofal Mali Isei. What's the difference if a piece fell off or not? At the end of the day, if it has roiv basar, it could heal, and that's the end of the story.
We don't get that when we put it back to the piece that's missing.
As long as it has potential to heal.
As long as it's the roiv of basar.
I didn't understand it either. I mean, what's the connection? Yes, if it's broken, it'll grow back. If it's not if it's missing a piece, it won't. I'm not exactly sure. What was the big chap here in the diuk? But he passing for him, and it seems like he accepted it.
For a whole year.
Right. I don't know. Now we have a series of questions here. I don't know, 7, 8, maybe 7. Similar questions. Now I just have to find them because I did this last second. Oh, Baruch Hashem, this is on top. This is the guy that we want to do the Shechita presentation for us. So Rabbi Ben David, he wrote the Sichas Chullin, the thick brown sefer on Chullin, most authoritative sefer on Chullin, the oldest, but his pictures are rudimentary. He took a pencil and drew them out. But anyways, mislaki just means there's a bunch of pieces of meat that you combine together and you get roiv basar. It's not just one clump of meat; it's tiny pieces, but you have roiv. Okay, misroises mao. It's very flimsy. If you look over here, this is meat. I didn't have time to fill it in and color it as I usually do, but it's over here. It's nice and thick. On top, it's squished down, very thin. Mismasmes mao. It decayed. Over here, you see, try to do a decaying kind of thing. It's starting to decay. Now the Gemara says, "Hey, mismasmes." What does it mean to decay? When the doctor, the vet decides to cut it away, it's no good for the animal. He starts chopping it off. That's a bad sign. It's already decaying. Iboilu. By the way, Rabbi Yisai, I just want to tell you, we found out yesterday that we have a little bit of a coffee problem. We went through in a month. You're not going to believe this number: 700 cups of coffee. You're looking at me like, It's
That's crazy.
it's a little bit of an addiction, I think. I don't know.
Why is that surprising?
I don't know. The number seems like if you would have asked me, I would have said 200. I don't know, like 700. Like
You're learning 30 days a month.
No,
You've got 20 days.
no, we do. We learn Motzei Shabbos is also coffee.
Ellie,
You don't have 20 people. You don't have 20 people.
Just because you don't show up doesn't mean
Yeah.
Some people have double cups.
Right.
You talk about the content or the actual...
So right, there's 500 actual cups
I would say 400.
and 700 cups. Okay. Yeah.
Most of those are you.
That's what I was waiting for. That's why I said it. Finally, a guy got it. Okay. Baruch Hashem. We had this a few times already in the last few Masechtas. If you have a hole, here it is, a hole right through the meat. I'm not exactly sure how this, it adds up one after another. And if you say that this is no good, what about this? So over here you have a hole, but it didn't remove anything from the meat. The basar is still there, it's just punctured, right? You put a nail through it, the meat goes to the side, it didn't disappear. It's not there. It's through and through, from top to bottom.
Like a knife.
This one is a little bit of a tough one. Nital shlish atachtoin mau. Right? The last part. Ooh. I don't have nital shlish atachtoin here. Oh, here. This one has, I don't know why it jumps to this page. Okay? Nital shlish atachtoin. There's emptiness here. It's not touching the bone. But above the bone, you have the meat. Oh, that's why it's not. Okay, it is in order. I skipped. Sorry. Niklaf mahu. If it peeled away, where is it?
top.
This guy. No, this Nizdak. This one. Niklaf mahu. It peeled away. Nizdak is over here.
That's the meat peeled away?
Yes, it's all the meat. Nital shlish atachtoin mahu. And here we go back to the shlish atachtoin. Part of the meat is actually meat. It's like niklaf, but it's over, but it's still not touching. This the part that's supposed to be touching the bone is missing.
What's the difference between Nikav and Nistak? Isn't it the same idea?
Yeah. And nikav is straight down. Nizdak is more of a jagged thing. So I could actually see where, if this is nizdak,
You stack is lengthwise.
it's lengthwise, but you also you don't see the bone when you're looking at it. Nikav has a hole through and through. Toshma. Now the Gemara just tries to answer one out of the few questions that we had, out of the 6 that we had so far. On the question of the bottom third of the meat is missing, the Omar Ula, Omar Bechanan, or Harehu Kabasar. So you see that even if there's just skin on top, even if just this part right over here is there, it's enough. You don't even need this black basar. So certainly you don't need this part that's missing. Who cares? You have or. Says Gemara, that's not a good raya. Dilma, the kana mashcha day. We're talking about a place on the foot that has 0 meat. So if it has 0 meat, then that's where the skin comes in, and it does the job to cover the bone. But if it's another place over here that has a lot of meat, who says that the skin is good enough? Now another question. Nigdar kimin tabasmau. So this is the picture that he draws, and the article has maybe a little nicer one. The point is that it's missing meat like in a circle, all the way around the wound, all the way around the fracture. It's missing meat. Says the Gemara, Upashat nemahod omer Rav Yud omer Rav. I wanted to look it up and I completely forgot. If somebody has a chance, it seems like the Gemara was basing halacha on what science knew in those days. I asked the doctors, va'amru, and they said, misartoi be'etzem umala aruka. All you need to do is take a bone, like in this picture, scratch it up, cause it to bleed, and it's going to adhere to the bone and it's going to regenerate. It's going to graft back. So that's what the doctor said in those days. That's what worked. Based on that, we're making a halacha that it's considered it's a kosher animal. Abel parzelo, do not use metal. Mizrav zara, if it's going to irritate the animal too much. Amar Papa v'hu dekana armadidei. But you have to make sure. In other words, don't eat the animal right away. Don't shecht it that day. Make sure that it actually starts the process of healing. So then the doctors are right. I don't think that's an issue. But it's just interesting that you see. Right.
He asked the Chachamim as well.
Oh, so people talk about it? Are you? That's your diuk, or you saw it somewhere?
Well, Oxford adds the word before Chachamim, it says Talmudic stuff. Not
Interesting.
secular.
Yeah, but so then why did he ask the Reifim? It was a combination. But you see that they relied on what they knew in those days, and whatever they told them, that's
No, the Chachamim knew.
the Chachamim. If the Chachamim knew, so you don't have to ask Reifim.
When they came there, broken.
Maybe the Chachamim had a discussion with the,
I have a good one today. A nice giraffe.
Rambam knew all
It's called Mat. You're gonna like it, Avi. All right. Says the Mishnah. Hashoichet abehema u'matza b'shilya. You shecht an animal and you find a placenta. I can't think of a grosser food in the world. Says the Mishnah. What? Yeah. Nefesh hayafa teichlena. If you have no issue with it, so we had this actually before, that we don't have the issue about the shaksu. Typically, if it grosses you out and you eat it, you're even issa deraisa. You're not allowed to gross yourself out. You're not allowed to go on one of those shows. But if you have no problem with it, nefesh yafa, you're fine, then you're allowed to eat it. Ve'ena mitamo.
does it have something growing inside?
Oh, so we're going to see in a second.
It says dam.
Ve'ena mitamo loy tumas ochlin ve'loy tumas nevelos. Now, it's not considered food. It's not considered food. As is, it's not considered food. Why? Because typically people don't eat it. So memela, it doesn't become tuma. It doesn't have tumas oichlin like food. Veloy tumas nevelos, and it's not considered a nevela. However, chishav if you decided for yourself that you're going to eat it as food, then mitama tumas oichlin, then it becomes tame like regular food, because for you it's food. And with your mind, you're able to change the category to food. Avaloi tumas nevelos. It's not considered a nevela. With your mind, you can't change the category. You can't change it into basar. Why? Because this is not basar. You could change it into food. You can't change it into basar. It's a big difference. You could say, okay, this is a toast. This is cereal for you in terms of tumas oichel. But you can never change it halachically into a category of meat.
Why is the nevel taken off? Because it's been shechted. It's like a part of the animal. It's been shechted. No more nevel is taken off. Right?
Yeah, and if it wasn't shechted, it's not meat.
It's not shechted.
No, let's say it is. You did. It says sheikhles be'emo. You shechted it.
Unusual, because normally in halacha we look at what the people do, what standard. Somebody decides, for me this is...
It is food. It has nutrients.
yeah,
Just
but
it's not.
It's not normally changed status based for an individual. Halacha normally follows...
No, we find by tuma also by a beged. If somebody says this beged is, I want this as a beged, 3 on 3, that sort of thing. It also has to do with his mind. If he's rich, not rich, it's what you machshav, what for you is, and this is tuma. I think it's a parav actually. It's a something that comes out of the body should be parav. Shilya, like just like the waste of an animal. I mean, it's like. Shilya shiyatsa miktsasa asura ba'achila. Now, that's the halacha you were talking about. If there's still something in the stomach and the shilya comes out, now we have to be concerned that in the shilya is a head of the animal that the animal was pregnant with. Just you don't see it, it's all nimayach, it got mushed in there. So if there's a head of an animal, it's a full animal, and memela it's also ba'achila. Simin Vlad Bi'isha, if this thing came out, then it's considered a firstborn for a woman. Simin Vlad Bi'behema, it's a firstborn for an animal. It could be the asur b'achila before that we said before is not lav dafka head. Just that there's an animal inside. Any part of it, it's also b'achila. Hamavakeresh pilo shilyo. If it's an animal's firstborn, but it was a stillborn, and out came the placenta. So maybe we should be chayshish that it's a bechar, and if it's a bechar, you have to treat it with kedusha. Yashtichen ala klavim. Because, as the Gemara is going to explain, we have at least a 51% chance that it's not a bechar. You have 50-50 that it's an akeva, so it's not a bechar. There's also a slight chance that it's a weird object in there. So that, in conjunction with a female, so we could throw it to the klavim.
What if it comes
No, percentage-wise. What just came out? There's a 51% chance that what just came out is a female/giraffe. There's a 1% chance that an animal gives birth to, instead of a cow, gave birth to a goat. It's possible. It happens. Yeah. If it looks like a goat or a pigeon. I mean, that's the whole sugya nida, and we had that. Another type of creature has no kedusha. So if you take that 1% or 0.1%, call it whatever you want. It happens once in a million. Okay, so take that 1 million plus the 50% chance that it's a female. Combine those two, and now you have a roiv that it's not a zachar. It's not a zachar. You don't have to treat it with kedusha. What?
Still petter, right?
No.
Yes. Something came out.
Not if it's not.
Havakeresh pilo shilyo.
Like a
But we don't know. Right, the miscarriage is peterechem. Miscarriage is a peterechem.
Mean that the next baby that comes
Will not be a bechar.
Depends over what age.
Right. For this particular one, you should learn a klavim, but she, let's see. Ubimigdoshim tikaver. Now, when it comes to hegdish, comes to a carbon, it doesn't matter. Even if it's a female, it still has kedusha. So now your chances that a kaddish thing came out are 99%. So that's why tikaver. You have to bury it. Now we go into interesting halacha of Darkei Amori. This doesn't really tell us all the halachas. There's some of the halachas here. It's also to do like a guy, a minhag of a guy. So do not bury this stillborn at a fork in the road, because they would bury their stillborns in the fork of the road. And don't hang it up on a tree. In the Gemara, we're going to see a little bit more how that applies to us today with different heebie-jeebies and refuahs that people do, etc. How do you know that you're allowed to eat a placenta, or that once it comes out, you're not allowed to eat it? The Tanu Rabbanon kol ba'behemot echelu. Anything that's inside the animal, you're allowed to eat. L'rabois es hashilya. That it comes to include even the placenta. Maybe if this placenta that you're allowed to eat, while it's inside, if it comes out, you're allowed to eat it as well. You're allowed to eat her, but not her placenta. Ask the Gemara, why do I need a pasuk? We're assuming that there's something going on inside this placenta. Every placenta started off with unborn fetus. So we have to assume that the part that came out has some sort of fetus in there. So you're not allowed to eat it. It's an avela. Says the Gemara, you're right. The pasuk comes for something else completely. Says Rashi for the spleen that we had earlier. This is just an asmachta. We would know it logically as well, but the Gemara just brings it as another source. Ve'ena metama, and the shilya doesn't have tuma, unless you decide it's food. As the Gemara is going to say, it's a very disgusting thing. The skin of a donkey, more disgusting than a regular skin. You cooked it up. You made a real geshmaka soup out of it. What's the halacha? Lamai. If you're worried about tuma, food tuma, it's a mafurish halacha. Tanina. Also, if you're worried, if you want to consider it meat, we also learned it mafurish. Tumas achlin, desanya ha'oir v'ashilya ein metamen tumas achlin. The skin and the placenta are not tamei achlin. Or sheshalkoi. But if you cooked up the skin v'ashilya shechishav alea, and you just thought about a placenta, metamen tumas achlin. In other words, if you think about skin and you say to yourself, I want this skin to be food, it's not going to turn into food because it's not edible. So what do you have to do? You have to take action. You have to cook it. If you cook it really well, then it turns into food. A placenta is edible. It's just disgusting. So you could change the disgusting in your head just by saying this is food.
Even if you cook it. So you can't eat meat raw either.
Why can't you eat skin? You never ate soup? Chicken soup?
No, you're right.
Cooking.
You're right, but so what does
If
make
we
it
talk about
So if you cooked up the donkey
the
skin,
donkey's
Yeah.
a tray for
I know, but it's going to be mitamat u'mesoichlin. Like food. You're making food. Dog food, goyish food is tamei. Tuma soichlin, it becomes tamei. Susceptible to tuma. Something you can't eat, it becomes susceptible to tuma. Tumas nevelus namitanino. Benivlos saw. I don't know why I printed this. Hanageh benivlos saw. It's nice, big. Yitma adarev. It has to be in a nevela and not in skin. And not in everything else, the whole list. It has to be nevela, it has to be basar, it can't be skin. And it can't be meat. Meat is not tummy nevela. And not in tendons, and not in horns, and not in the hooves. If a person made a stew and he added a lot of tavlinim, a lot of spices, Rashi, Imam, he made it gishmak, then it doesn't become meat, even if you do that. So, what are we talking about? What's the question about a donkey's skin? Should be the same thing. Says the Gemara, Lo'ilam Tuma Sachlin, we're referring to the Tuma of food, and we said that if you cook up all these skins, they become tamei for food. Since it's so disgusting, even if you cook it up, maybe it's not tamei, and the Gemara remains in a suffix, dafka on a donkey's skin.
What's the difference between Thomas Lechman again and the Tumas
Tumah Zaychla means you consider it food. Once you consider it food, so it's susceptible to Tumah. Tumas Nevela is you have to consider it meat. You don't have the right to consider anything meat. The Torah considers it meat. So something's not in category. You can't take a hoof and say, okay, now I'm making it meat. Just like you can't take a truck and make it into meat, you can't take a hoof and make it. You can't make a horn into meat. Just because you cooked it doesn't change the category. But you could take a truck and say, I want this to be food, and you start eating it. If you could eat it and it's good, then maybe you could change it into food somehow. Not really, but something that's edible, like a placenta. Just it's really, really disgusting. Maybe waste of an animal, which I just saw yesterday. The baboons in Africa, they run after the elephants. They walk around, they go, and different animals. They have warthogs, all these things. It's like it's food. Food is food. If you want to eat it, if for you it's geshmak, and you decide it's food, then it becomes tamei tumas soichlin. That's the end of the story.
They feed you to the mushroom farms.
That's fertilizer, you mean? Okay, but these are animals. These are living beings. Shilya shiyatzisa. So what happened here with this placenta that came out partially? Omer Abelazar leishanu elo sheini mavlad. If there's no other fetus inside the stomach of this animal, then we have to assume that what's inside this placenta is an invisible, mushed up fetus. And then that's awesome. Aval yashim avlad. In other words, the head of this fetus is still inside the mother. There's no reason to assume that there's twins. You see an empty placenta. It looks pretty clear to you. There's nothing in there. Why would you say, oh, there's another animal in there? What's the word? The thing that makes the issue here, the fetus that's giving you an issue, you see it. It's inside the stomach. There's no reason to assume new things.
Then what is the shilya?
Oh, it popped off.
You mean it's in there without the
Yeah, without the placenta. It came off. Yeah, you pulled it off. I don't know what. It came out.
Can't we be talking about where she's actually giving birth already to the calf?
Exactly, anything.
And the shilya comes out after.
Right. Oh, no, because the calf is still inside, we're saying.
Why can't we say the calf is
Oh, because you see the head somewhere else. You're saying you see the head outside. It seems like the head is inside. Okay. Because then it's a different shiloh of shilya that's a born shilya. Then it's a whole different issue. Then there shouldn't be a shiloh.
Does a miscarriage make it heterectum?
Now, what does Rebbe Lazar say? Rebbe Lazar says that if there's another vlad, we don't have to worry about. If you know that there's a vlad inside the stomach, you're not concerned that there's a vlad inside the shilya. Is that a kula or a chumrah? That's a kula. That's saying that you could eat this. There's not a problem with this shilya. We'll assume Rabbi Yochanan Omar bein einim of vlad, bein yeshim of vlad, choshishim levlad acher. I always have to be concerned. Maybe there's a twin. So Rabbi Yochanan is machmir. Ini v'Omar Rabbi Yirmiyah l'chumra amar Rabbi Lazar. Rabbi Yirmiyah said that Rabbi Lazar is the one that's machmir, and you're saying that Rabbi Yochanan is the one that's machmir. Rabbi Lazar is mekel, and he's saying that we could assume that there's a vlad inside. Eli Yitmar, so we have to change it around. Omar Rabbi Lazar lo shanu el she'ino kshur b'vlad. If a placenta is not attached anymore to the vlad. By the way, where's Hillel? Remember we had this whole discussion about the blood flowing through. A guy from New York was watching the video, and he texted me this whole long thing that we don't know what we're talking about. That of course, the blood goes through the fetus, and then this, and as soon as there's a birth, then everything shuts off. The heart stops, and then this and that, and closes a whole long. So at least somebody's watching and corrected us. Hi. Lo shanu she'enu kshur b'vlad. Aval kshur b'vlad ein choshishim levlad acher. Says Rabbi Lezer, now he's mekel. That what? This whole halacha that you're not allowed to eat the placenta is when it's not attached to a vlad. But once it's attached to if it's attached to the fetus, then we are not concerned about another fetus. So he's mekel. Rabbi Yochanan Omar, Onu elanu el shilya beloy vlad. Avayeshim of vlad, if there is a fetus, ben kshura b'vlad, ben ein kshura b'vlad, ein choshishim levlad acher. So what does Rabbi Yochanan say? That if there's another fetus, it doesn't matter if the placenta is attached or not attached. We never are concerned about the vlad. So over here, sorry, Rabbi Yochanan is the one that's mekel. Rabbi Yochanan says that if there's another vlad, then we don't care if the placenta is attached or not attached. We always can assume that the other vlad is the vlad that we see is what we have here, and that's the placenta has to do with that other vlad.
We assume there's only one blood.
Right.
We toilet everything in him.
We toilet whatever we see in front of us. We toilet everything in that vlad. Tanya of us say the Rabbi Lazar. We have a source to Rabbi Lazar. Hamapeles min behemo chayev oy v'shil yimoyim. A woman gives birth to some weird object. Say she gives birth to something that looks like a giraffe. And in addition to this giraffe, there's a placenta. Bisman shekshur bahem, if the placenta is attached to the giraffe, ein choshishim levlad acher. Then we are not concerned about the other vlad. Ein kshur bahem, if the placenta is not attached. So what happens here? If according to Chachamim, if a woman gives birth to a funny-looking object, and it's called a Leda Yeveshta, zero blood, and it looks different than a human being, then she's not Tomei as a Leda. In other words, if a woman gives birth to a baby dry, no blood, automatically she's a Nida. It has nothing to do with blood, it has to do with birth. But if she gave birth to a giraffe, and there's no blood, then there's zero tumas leda. And she can go on the next day as if nothing happened. Okay. So now that she gave birth to a giraffe plus a placenta, what happens here? So it goes like this. So first of all, just as a refresher, because I want to show you this, I love this chart, so I got to show it to you again. If a woman gives birth to a zachar, so she's tummy for 7 days, and then she has 33 days of tahara. If she gives birth to a nekeva, she's tummy for 14 days, and then she has 66 days of tahara. What happens? Rabbi Isai, you're going to love this. What happens is she gives birth to a giraffe and a placenta. Now the placenta could be a baby girl. So for the baby girl, she gets punished. She gets the chumrah of a baby girl. That's the worst of the worst. Much worse than having a baby boy. she's tamei double the amount of time of a baby boy. She gets 14 days of tumah. Now, if she only gave birth to a baby girl, she would get 66 days of tahara. But since she might have given birth to a giraffe, so she gets 0 days of tahara. Because a giraffe has no tahara. Giraffe doesn't have tumah, doesn't have tahara, doesn't have anything. It's just a giraffe. So Mamela, we don't know if she gave birth to a baby girl. Maybe all she gave birth is to this funny looking object. And the funny looking object gets 0. So not only is she tamei for 14 days, because maybe she gave birth to a girl, but after the 14 days, she doesn't get any free days bichlal, 0.
Only if she has dam, she's got dam. Right.
Yeah. If she has dam, then she doesn't have any free days.
I assume you're using giraffe as a funny object.
Yes, those are the funniest object I could think of. Then I thought about a kangaroo, and it was too late. That's not a bad one. Today we'll do that. Okay, we'll change it to rhinoceros. Not bad.
Look very weird, so that's why it makes
What?
sense. Some of these bladders, when they're in the early stage, look very weird. So it's very
Yes.
possible that it could be look like a giraffe or
The
whatever.
Gemara says like a yaina, what's a lizard, sort of. The Gemara doesn't use giraffe. I went far out there because giraffe is also kosher. I have a connection to it. It's like,
Looks like a monster.
what was it called? The giraffe. The Gemara called it a market. A what? No, something in a kuf.
Cow.
Like it had a connection to the Beis Hamikdash. I mean, some people said that this is the animal that the Gemara brings. It's a giraffe. Sichas Chullin says because it's as beautiful, like its hide is beautiful, and it's kosher and it's 20 amas. The Gemara said it was 16 amas high or something. So 16 amas high is 30 feet, and today giraffes they could hit about 20 feet. So, what is it?
Tachash?
Tachash. Maybe tachash. No?
One of the skins.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I think tachash. No, not tachash. I forgot the word. No, we just learned it.
I heard the meat is tough though. I think it's not. Now
8 minutes.
Amen. Hamevaker shepila. If this is the if this is the this animal's first birth, so it's considered. We said it's considered a bechar, and what do you do with it? You can feed it to the dogs. My time Omer Avika Breder of Ami Roy Beimen Sildos Dover Kodesh Akodesh B'Bechayra. If she gives birth to a zachar, then great. Umiu diodo is Dover Shena Kodesh B'Bechayra. Umayniu nidma. So now in the zachar, what?
If the Medora Kodesh means a proper animal, that's the first row. Then it goes into Zohar.
Okay. Where did I see zachar here?
2 lines down.
No. Says Rashi, Dava Kodesh B'Bechayra Im Hayo Zachar.
Fine. In.
Right. That's what okay. That's fine. Okay. Sorry, I was just quoting Rashi. Most of the time, it's kaddish because if it's in a keva, then it's not kaddish. So if it's a zachar, it's kaddish. And then you have that small percentage that it might be a weird object, like a giraffe. Nidma. It's a little bit like, I think the lashon might be confusing, but it's very obvious. What? Basically, there's a 50% chance either zachar or nekeva, and then on top of that 50%, it could be a funny looking object which throws the 50 off. So now you have 49% nekeva, zachar, and a weird object. So now the zachar is the minority. What are the chances that a woman is going to have a zachar? 49.9%. Because 50% are nekevas, and a point something percent is weird, and therefore
And the words don't have zachar and keva.
they're not a b'char. They have no kedusha. No kedusha.
But would they not also have?
Yeah, they do. Let's say they do.
Female?
They do. Let's say they
They're
do.
not-
Let's say they do. But they have no kedusha b'char. We're talking about in terms of kedusha b'char. Can I feed this object to this unknown thing? Can I feed it to a dog? The answer is there's a 51% chance that it's not kaddish. You can feed it to the dog. But if she gave birth, we're talking about an animal that's kaddish, ready to go on the mizbeach, and she gave birth to something we don't know what it is. My time Aruba Bar Migdashu even if it's an akeva, it's also kadosh. So Mamela, you can't feed it to dogs, you have to bury it. Then kover noisa, and you're not allowed to bury it on the fork of the road. Amazing Rashi here, that if something we see, we think that it's going to heal, you could even whisper to the wound and do it. It's not considered darkei mori.
Whisper to what?
You have a wound, somebody has a wound, somebody has a sickness, a disease, you could do heebie-jeebie, you could put amulets, you could do all sorts of things on the wound, directly on the wound, to heal the wound. Now the problem, right, so we're talking about darkei mori, we're talking about, in other places it seems like there's a Mishnah in Sanhedrin, Mefurish and Daf Tzadik, that says that you're not allowed to whisper to a wound, that's Issa Deraisa. So, but the Shulchan Aruch paskins that if it's a sekanas nefashos and the person is dying, then you are allowed to. So maybe that's what Rashi means. It's not it's a complicated sugya, but it seems like, at least from here, that the wound has to be in front of us. There's a person in the neighborhood that called me up about a relative of mine that has cancer, and she said, "Look, I could heal the cancer over the phone. It's not a problem." Yeah, some of you all know. There's things like that going around. So I told her, I said, look, either it's bogus, and if it's real, it's probably Kaychatuma, so I'm also not interested. But over here, the Gemara says that not in front of the wound is a problem. It's darkei mori.
Wi-Fi thing?
I don't know what.
It has to be filtered.
Yeah.
So you would have to be there in order to do it.
Yes. But if you go like this, these people go like this, and all sorts of stuff. If the wound is there, it might not be such an issue according to this Gemara.
Reiki.
We learned a fruit tree. And we said, right, a person has a palm tree, and these palm trees put out about $5,000 or $15,000, crazy amount of money per year, each palm tree. And the fruit is coming out early and it's worthless. So you could paint it red, and you could load it up with stones. Says the Gemara Bishlam, there's a scientific process to it. By the way, Rashi and the Rambam both say that it has to be in Masechet Shabbos. Rashi says that these things have to have some sort of source in medicine, in physical medicine. It can't just be going like this. If you could explain it, because the Gemara over there says, and then the question is, how could you sleep with the tooth of a fox? Because that doesn't really have a scientific. These are the kashas. It's a sugya. B'kitzur, it's not so pasha. Does it have to be medical? Sakaras nefashis in front of. But anyways, a guy just gave a speech the other day about these things here in Ramat Bet Shemesh. Somebody wrote a book about it, about all these, because people are running around doing these things. What? Claiming, and people swear by it, and you're very familiar with it. You're telling me about it. Okay, fine.
That's to do
Well,
person's there. Now,
Like with a fish or something near the person that does, or maybe a fox did also.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, and what about these pigeons that people do for that mamish works? The pigeons die. I don't know. It doesn't work. Anyways, okay. What? If they can prove chemical, yeah. It's not proven scientifically though. Now says Gemara, putting heavy stones on a tree, we could explain scientifically. You make the tree really weak, and if he's really weak, he's not going to produce fruit until later on, and we want that. How could you explain painting a tree red? Says the Gemara, this is amazing, Rabbi Isai. You paint it red, and everybody says, "Oh, here, this person has a sick tree," and people are going to have rachmanas. People are going to walk by and say a kapitel tehillim for you. That's how people were in those days. And nowadays, I don't know about that. Kidesanya, v'tami yikro. The Mitzvah runs around telling everybody, I have this tzaras, I have tzaras. It says in Gemara, you should let people know. A lot of people have this issue. Don't tell people they're sick. They should tell. Over here, the Gemara seems to say, it's a good thing to let people know. Somebody has a bad tzara, and people ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu that the person should be healed or get away from his tsar, and that's why it's a good idea, says the Gemara, at least when it's already in a certain stage, to let people know so they could daven for you. Omer Ravina Keman Talinin Kusa Bedikla. According to who do we hang these dates on a tree? And that's a simon, says Rashi, that this tree is doing very poorly. Keman Kaitana, that says that people are going to walk by and they're going to daven for you. Hadrun aloch behema maksha, hadrun aloch behema makasha, and hadrun aloch behema maksha.